Hey, this is Sales Training with Spence, where we turn novices into experts, experts into closing beasts, and sellers into closers. All right, listen, man. Stop selling, start closing. Do it with Spence. Do it with the close 7-level selling. Today we are talking about elements of power, right? Elements of power, what they are, the 8 different elements of power. What is power? How do you use it to your advantage? Because listen, many people, when they hear power, what they do is they fear it, or they think it's something bad, or too much power is bad. But power is neither good nor bad. It's completely up to the individual who has the power as to whether it's going to be good or bad. And so power can be used for good, it can be used for bad. Like, for example, bad power, you see Hitler, extreme power, man. He took over countries, he killed a lot of people, but he used it for bad. He made power look bad. But when a president of a country who does great things for that country and who is praised and loved, he has extreme power over the country, but he's using it for good, right? So power is neither good nor bad. It can be used for either. It's up to the person who has the power as to what they want to use it for. So when you're reading through this book, it talks about power, and power and the study of power has actually fascinated people for centuries, right? Power is seen and used in politics, in business, in love, in war, and seemingly in every single human interaction, there is some element of power being used, right? So power is simply defined as the ability to get things done, whether it be move an object across a room, influence a crowd of people, or start or stop a war, right? So when it comes to negotiating, when it comes to selling, using power to your advantage to leverage over your opponent is a huge piece, but you got to know how to use it for good and good for you, and so that you don't leverage bad onto yourself, right? So you can use one type of power to gain advantage, or use multiple elements of power at once for greater effects. The elements of power that we will explore in this section are, and so this I'm reading out of the book, right? So here's the other elements of power, the 8 elements of power we'll be exploring. There's power of legitimacy, power of prizes, power of punishment, power of integrity, power of charisma, power of expertise, power of timing, power of information, right? That one a lot of people could probably relate to. Power of information, you hear it all the time. Knowledge is power, information is knowledge, knowledge is power, whatever. But a lot of them that people don't realize, again, power of legitimacy, power of prizes, power of punishment, power of integrity, power of charisma, power of expertise, power of timing, power of information. Those are the 8 elements of power. Right? Power is a tool, and the wielders of power can see fit whether they want to use it for good or bad. Using it for good will always end up getting you good results as well. Using it for bad will end up leaving you in generally a negative place, in a negative light, right? Power of legitimacy. So these parts I'm going to be reading certain sections from the books on kind of explaining each of these, right? I don't think I can explain it better than the book right now. This sales training is out of the book, so I'm going to do the book some due diligence and read you exactly what it says in here. So, power of legitimacy. The first element of power that must be learned is the power of legitimacy. As human beings, we succumb to the aura of legitimacy portrayed by others in negotiations. If we see a person with the title of vice president, we assume that he is very important. If we see a official looking price tag at the jewelry store, we believe that the price is real. Titles, the written word, and other trappings like business cards, brands, logos, and imagery all make up an aura of legitimacy that lend power to the person who appears to be legitimate. Now, you see this all the time. Put the book down for a sec. You see this all the time. You see police officers, for example. They have their uniform on. They got a badge. They got their gun on their waist. They got a taser on the other side. They got handcuffs, and they also just got out of a car with big bumpers on the front, lights flashing on the top that says police on the side, right? You see all of that accompanied with the police officer. You believe he is very legit. Now, what do you do when you believe he is a legitimate police officer, that this police officer is a real-life police officer? You listen to whatever he tells you because he is the law. If you break the law, you get in trouble. You know he is a legit police. He has your best interest at hand, whether it's true or not. You just succumb to the power of him because he has the legitimacy of the car, of the suit, of the badge, of the gun, of the taser, right? Prime example, another one would be a doctor. A doctor, they wear their thing, they wear their suit as well. They're in a doctor's office, right? When the doctor comes into the room, if he's dressed like a doctor, if you've been waiting to see the doctor, and he's got his little name tag, his doctor's robe on, then you're going to believe he's a doctor, when just as easily you could have went in that room and some random person could have put on the doctor's thing, had all the instruments, and walked in with a notebook pretending to be a doctor. You probably would have believed it too. Nobody would do that. That's extreme. That would be crazy. But for example, somebody could dress up as a police officer too and get a fake police car, and you would probably listen to what they say, right? That's the power of legitimacy. You understand. You just respect it, right? So again, in the book, it says the president of the United States will be expected to ride in a limo, not a Honda Civic, right? Boom, power of legitimacy. He is the president. He comes in a limo, not a Honda Civic, right? So in business now, how you use power of legitimacy in business. You use words like biggest, smallest, best, worst, oldest, newest, award-winning. Being a positioned player in the marketplace essentially adds to the legitimacy in your power, right? When you have the power of legitimacy, you will earn his respect. Consider the respect for the law, exactly the example I gave, that everyday citizens have, where you may be stuck in a red light in the middle of the night and no one is around. Rather than running the red light, most people will still wait at the red light merely out of respect for the legitimate power of the law, right? So, power of prizes. The term breads and circuses originated in Rome by the poet Juvenal in circa 100 AD. The term identifies the problem in society where the populace only cares for the prizes of breads, which is free bread from the government and politicians in power, and circuses, gladiator and chariot games that entertain the masses, right? Since the average man only cares for breads and circuses, he no longer cares for his political birthright of political involvement and who is in power. The power of prizes has taken over a once powerful republic. Rome originated as a powerful Stoic democracy where the people were involved in voting and controlling the government. The government feared the power, not the other way around. When the elected politicians realized that they could buy the votes of the people with prizes, typically free grain, breads, and gladiator games, the political system became a race to the bottom to see who can give more prizes to the people in exchange for poorer and poorer governance. Throughout history, democracy only lasts for about 250 years until the people find out that they can vote themselves prizes and the system collapses. When people find that they can vote themselves prizes, money, that will herald the end of the republic, right? Such is the power of the prize. When there is promise of a reward, people will give up their power in exchange for the prize or the reward. In Rome, the people gave up their political involvement for free grain and free entertainment. Today in America, the same thing is happening. The people give up their involvement for breads and circuses, and this signals the end of the 250-year lifespan of democracy and the end of the republic, very much like Rome. The ability to create a prize and reward the other side is a tremendous source of power. In a taxi cab company, the dispatcher has more power than the owner because he can reward the cab drivers with more jobs and in effect more money. The person who can give the prizes is the person with power. Okay. So in business, when you are negotiating business, you can use the power of prizes when you position yourself. You are the best in the business, and doing business with the best is a reward unto itself, right? There's always a market for the best, and there's always a market for the cheapest. However, there is much more profit in being the best and positioned as the prize. To create prize power in your business, you must put your personal reputation on the line to solve the buyer's problems. When you take on their problems, you are rewarding them. They are not rewarding you with the business. Most junior salespeople will feel like the customer is the prize and that the customer is rewarding the salesperson with the business. Professional salespeople who are the best in the business use the power of prizes to frame the situation differently. Professionals know that they are the prize and that they are rewarding the client with the best service in the industry. And that is why a great salesperson is a prize to be won by the customer. Right? When you utilize the power of prizes and frame yourself as the prize, you will have the confidence to ask your customer for all of their business rather than begging like a dog for a small share of the customer's table scraps. You are the prize to be won, so use prize power to your advantage. Prize power can also be used as an intimidation factor. When you feel as though the other side can reward you or give you a prize, you feel the power of prizes creeping in. A junior salesperson may be intimidated with the prize power of his first $1,000 sale, whereas a pro salesman won't feel any pressure with a $100,000 sale. In fact, the more you ignore the power of prizes and ability that the other side has to reward you, the greater your power will be in relation to the other side. Right? So prize power can also be intimidating in the sexual arena. Consider a young man who is going on a date with a very beautiful woman who is out of his league. He may feel as though she is the prize and lose his own confidence and his power when dealing with her. The same man can change his mind and tell himself that he is the prize and that she would be lucky to go out with him, and there will be an entire power shift right there on the date. Right? The power of punishment. The power of punishment is the opposite of the power of prizes, where the power of prizes alludes to the fact that the other side can reward you with intangible pleasurable benefits like money, fame, travel, love, sex, more business, or whatever else you desire. The power of punishment is the opposite of pleasure. So you can see how these can go hand in hand. If you can create a very, very strong, and this is actually very interesting, if you can create a super, super strong prize of power, then the person you're trying to pitch your product to, or power of prize, if you can use that and make it very, very strong, then the person you're trying to pitch the object to, if they don't do it, will then feel the power of punishment. Because again, then they don't have the prize, and the prize is money, fame, love, sex, fortune, freedom, and then the punishment would be to not do it, because then you don't get it, right? So they go hand in hand. It's super interesting. Two very powerful ones as well. So the power of punishment is the opposite of the power of prizes. The power of punishment is indeed the perception that the other side can punish or harm you rather than reward you. Consider the intimidation factor of the power of punishment when a police officer pulls you over on the highway and has the power to give you a speeding ticket or not. In that situation of intimidation, the police officer has the power of punishment. Right? Power of morality. The power of morality is awarded to those who have a consistent set of values and follow through on them. A person with high integrity and a set of unchanging values will always have more power than a person who changes his values frequently. Consider the Pope, the leader of the Catholic Church. Although the Catholic Church has been responsible throughout history in killing, plunder, rape, murder, and theft, and was responsible for one of the most terrible times in European history, known as the Dark Ages. The Pope, because of his unwavering values, is one of the most powerful people on the planet. Right? How powerful is your decision-making ability? Are you a person who will stick to your decisions or go back on them? Are you a person who was going to take back an ex-lover, or do you go crawling back when you're in a weak moment? These are things you have to think about for yourself to decide if you have the power of morality on your side, because the person who sticks to his decisions and his values will have the power of morality on their side. The power of morality in sales, for example, comes into play when you do what's right for the competitor, even if it's not right for you in the moment. If your job as a salesperson is to make the sale, and you probably could have, but it wouldn't have been the best thing for your prospect to get, and you send that prospect over to another company to give him what he could actually need and actually want so that he feels good about your company, and when later he is in the position to get your product, he will transfer back over from the referral company to your company. You're using the power of morality. That is you putting the power of morality in your field. You're actually using the integrity and keeping your values the same, right? Interesting. Power of charisma. Nice. So what is charisma? This book defines it first. I'm going to tell you the definition of it. So it says the compelling attractiveness or charm that can inspire devotion in others. She enchanted guests with her charisma. He lacks the charisma we look for in our salespeople. Boom, prime example, right? A divinely conferred power or talent. So the power of charisma is hard to classify and hard to identify. Charisma is a gift from God or a special talent, such as the ability to heal or prophesize. In modern terms, charisma is the ability to capture the heart and the mind of another person and gain support or devotion. Another way to look at the power of charisma would be the power of personality, power of celebrity, or the power of being liked. Right? We always wish to please people that we like, and the power of charisma can be completely magical. Consider the special treatment that rock stars get when they travel across the country. Celebrities get free cars, free travel, free food, free hotels, and a multitude of other benefits from their power of charisma. To be likable and to be charismatic is powerful. People have a hard time saying no to a person that they like, right? Consider a cute little 3-year-old girl asking for a cookie. She is cute and has charisma, you're going to give her the cookie. Okay, so power of expertise here. Let's talk about that for a second. When you project more expertise on a subject than other people, you have power over them. Your doctor, auto mechanic, plumber, and even your maid will have expertise that you don't. A waiter at a fancy restaurant will have the power of expertise when making recommendations to you. We all want to be guided by experts, and as human beings, we are trained socially to look to experts to learn what we think we should about any particular subject, right? The power of timing. The power of timing is found when people who normally don't have any power suddenly have power over you, right? Consider the clerk at the government office who has no power to choose how he does his job when suddenly you show up at his desk and need something from him. This government worker with limited power typically will exercise power over you because in this situation, in this specific timing, he will have all of the power and you have none. Generally, people with very little power, they love to use it when they get a chance. You can see the power of timing with building inspectors, desk clerks, secretary, government workers. These people have very little power in general, but under certain timings and circumstances, their power is magnified immediately, and they're going to use it. power of information. So with the proliferation of computers in the 1990s, the industrial age ended when the Berlin Wall came down and we entered the information age. The power of information is extremely valuable when negotiating because sharing of information bonds people together. Right? When you share information with your customers, you create value. And this shared information bonds the customer to you. Pharmaceutical reps typically can only book meetings with busy doctors if they have new information about a drug or specific research. I used to work for a company in Canada that shared more free information in the marketplace than any other competitor. And in a few short years, the startup company grew to have multi-million-dollar revenue and became the 40th fastest growing company in the future. Such is the power of information and its ability to build trust in a negotiation. So, power of competition. The person who has more options always has more power in any negotiation. Right? Consider the power of competition when there are multiple buyers, say 10, 15, or 20 buyers for a single property. The property will enter into a bidding war where the buyers will strip their offers of conditions and escalate their buying price to irrational levels just to win. Ridiculous. The human spirit is very competitive in nature, and although we may not admit to loving a competition, we all love to win. So that goes back to maybe you don't love a competition, but you don't love the competition because you probably lost your whole life, right? As opposed to somebody who's stacked wins, all they do is win, 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 win. Man, they're gonna fucking love competition because they love winning, bro. All humans, they love winning, right? People associate wins with a good feeling of accomplishment. Whether you don't like competition, it's probably because you lose when you compete, but maybe you like board games and that type of competition because you always win board games, right? So people like winning, and those are the 8 elements of power explained in here, related into business, belayed into life. You can decide how you want to use them, but at the end of the day, the person in power is the person who's respected. Power is the ability to control or manipulate a situation, or the ability to get things done, whether used for good nor bad. It's neutral. It's what you use it for. It's how you create your power, right? So those are the elements of power. That's how you can use it. I hope you guys got something out of this. This is Sales Training with Spence. See you guys next time.